my workshop, which is on Desmos and how it can reinforce thinking in students. Now, we left off with just a general ideas or summary of how Desmos questions should look like, how we can create immediate feedback, how we can engage in student learning and thinking. Now, just to give us a little data or research into why we should implement Desmos into our math classroom will be here. So this is an example of the school that I work at. I'm currently working at in Surrey district. As you can see that, first of all, this is actually for grade 12 enrollment. And just in the grade 12 alone, we do have 12.7% ELL learners, and we have about 12.8% special needs. Now, these data are the ranking here. This is actually from Fraser Institute, so feel free to click on this link if you want to check out how your school is doing as compare with others or within the entire British Columbia. So because of these information about, like 13% in both ELL special needs, it is very crucial that the Desmos activities that we implement in our classroom should reflect or should help students like ELL or special needs and help them understand or learn better. And we will actually talk about that in a few more slides. Just another research data here. Again, this is actually graduation assessments for the Surrey School District. Now, if you're curious about your district, you can click on this link or on this picture, and it will hyperlink to a website where you can filter out or search to your district and your results in that. So this is for graduation assessment. One thing I'm curious about is the numeracy assessment here. All students, so you got all students, Indigenous students, and student with special needs, and on the x-axis here is a percentage percent proficient or extending. So as you can see, roughly, I will say that students who are Indigenous, have less percentage of achieving proficient or extending versus or compared to say those with special needs. Now this kind of information is giving me or kind of making me think, well, how can we actually help these students improve that? Because graduation assessment is more like open thinking tasks, right? So maybe from there we should think about how we can better prepare students with graduation numeracy assessment like this. And you know what? Desmos has got tons of wonderful activities and that are more, I guess, more scenario based, and they're more open-ended tasks which can help students learn as well, which we'll talk about that in the next few slides here. Because like I said, because my school does have a quite a portion of ELL students who are ELL. So it is actually really important to use Desmos to its advantage by, having more interactive conversations, allowing students to really engage with think, pair, share, having classroom discussions like storytelling. And you know what? Another way is to simply translate into different languages. So I've included these two screenshots here. One way to encourage that classroom discussion is by pausing your activity. Because if you pause your activity once students have entered or typed in an answer, you can have that engagement even with just in person. Right? It doesn't have to be fully online, right? Students can still share their answers typing in online, but once you pause the activity, they're sort of forced to discuss with each other or with a partner if they're comfortable. You can click on this link here if you want to translate or see what language they can translate into, and click on conversations here to see how else we can accommodate ELL students who are ELL. And here, this is for special student with special needs, and I thought that is very interesting because not many people know about these features, right? There are many tons of accessibility features on Desmos, from like audio tracing to voice commands and keyboard commands. So it is still it's not many people know about these functions, but it's definitely worth to check it out. Also, with the student with special needs or who needs to be further adapted, by all means, please discuss with your inclusion teachers or LST or maybe even youth care workers if you know that some students are maybe at risk of, um, you know, maybe they are a little bit weaker in terms of understanding mathematics. So in that case, then we will need to try to accommodate or adapt Desmos activities to better suit them. So again, it's something worth going over with another staff member. Here is briefly, this is a chart that it's actually from the BC Ministry of Education. The data is from 2012 to 2017/18. This is the completion rates for grade 12 students. Actually, the completion rate for Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal students. As you can see that there is a slight dip in students who are Aboriginal as compared to non-Aboriginal students. So it is kind of worrisome to see that results, but I guess because we're facing this data, now we got to think to ourselves is how can we better prepare these students or all learners. One thing or one of that technique or strategy is by incorporating general knowledge in math. And if you ever read or heard of FNESC, for First Nations, there's lots of math teaching strategies or lessons out there. And one of the biggest one that I absolutely love and I've implemented into my class, for my math 9 and 10, will be the Coast Salish wool weaving activity. You can click on this link if you want to read more about it in more detail. There is also a really quick couple pages simple lesson plan from Burnaby School District, and it's actually really interesting because students were actually weaving with these designs, as you can see in the pictures on the right, and how they were able to upload that image that they took themselves onto Desmos and create equations out of that. And if you are incorporating this or implementing this in grade 10 or pre-calc 10, it is good to talk about like perpendicular lines or parallel lines, things like that, and how can we adjust the slope and the y-intercept to make that line fit the pattern. So I thought it was really interesting. There's another one is for more workplace 10. So if you're teaching workplace math 10, this is the diamond quill box. Now this is more for this is the Mi'kmaq quill boxes. Now this is for Eastern Canada, but I'm sure you can find lessons for Western Canada like Coast Salish or Squamish nations where perhaps you can build bentwood boxes, etc. Again, these just some ways you can incorporate Desmos in Indigenous knowledge. And as a demo, you can totally check out this link here by clicking on the code here. Some of the methods of evaluations that I have here, there's quite a few. I listed some here. One of them is Desmos feedback activity. So just to get students, this is actually more for students, but you can also use it for teachers and staff members, how they feel about incorporating Desmos into a classroom. There is a mandatory Desmos quarter end reporting and student self-reflection on thinking skills. So this is more related to the BC core competencies, and student self-assessment forms and how they feel about Desmos. Now, feel free to click on this link if you want to use these resources to help you measure how successful is Desmos actually in your classroom. Now here is a brief timeline of how I will implement this. So I know it is kind of it's kind of tied with the time, but September, we got grade specific collaboration. Now this is for grade 8 to 10. I have scheduled in the proposal, if you're willing to check that out with more detailed timeline. October, I will be hosting a parent info session with with the student in my class. November will be for grade 11, 12, so you can collaborate on that. December will be a department release day. This is for the whole day. And please, all staff welcome. I will be asking the district helping teachers or learning support teachers, Aboriginal workers, or maybe the multicultural workers to come together to sort of design a really well-rounded Desmos activity. This could be for seniors or juniors. Regardless, I think it's a good idea to have them all collaborating. The January is more an optional design, one or two cross-curricular activities on Desmos. Like I was thinking of math and art as we just indicated, but there's many like math and socials or foods, etc. February to September, so all these are just kind of quarter end reporting. Again, the link is already attached. And for every July and August, there's Desmos always hosting. They're always hosting a professional learning workshop, so it's good to check that out online. And in September, obviously, we're just going to be continuously collaborating and implementing Desmos in the classroom. Um, Again, so creating essentially all of these is important. I found, so we have a Desmos blog as well, and one of the biggest quote that resonated with me will be from Dan Myers and other members on Desmos team, says that we must create opportunity for students to be right and wrong in different and interesting ways. And again, this helps them to take ownership of their learning. And as always, make sure that any Desmos activities, or even if it's just normal worksheets or normal lessons that we do give out to students, we must have feedback that attaches meaning and builds on student thinking. If you have any questions or if you'd like to know more about how Desmos works or how we can support each other, you can see my name's here. I'm Desmos coordinator. We'll always be collaborating with the learning support teacher workers or AL inclusion, got Aboriginal support workers, ELL multicultural workers. If you want to in terms of just how to translate languages or how to support those students or ELL. You got the Chief Academic Officer. This is Dan Meyer, who is working on the Desmos, who is working as part of Desmos team now. We also have our district helping teachers. So we actually have 3 helping teachers here in Surrey District. So we got Chris Hunter, Mark Gurnall, and Jess Kyler, I believe, or Jess Kyle. And overall, if you want to learn more just on your own, just for pure interest, you can check out the Professional Learning Network, which includes Twitter, Pinterest, or Teacher Paid Teachers, and a lot of social media platforms where you can get a lot of ideas and tips on Desmos activities in the classrooms. So again, we are all working together to help students succeed. So this is just really important. I just want you to know that you're never alone in creating Desmos activities. You're never, you're not on your own with, having that technology in the classroom. Like I said, because we are experiencing a large amount of increasing our school district and in BC, to be fairly honest, that we need to find other ways to sort of help us improve, right? Help us improve our teaching practices and student learning and thinking skills. So essentially, all of that support we have and collaboration we have together should maximize student growth, and that ultimately starts in your own classroom. So if you have any questions, by all means, please see the initiative proposal for more details. So it will have a more clear breakdown and a list of links that you can check out for support on implementing Desmos in your classroom. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions, you can reach me at my email listed here. Have a wonderful evening. Bye.